Good evening. Welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Clive Myrie. In the news this week, as a head of HR draws up a P45 notice, a particularly cruel meme about Liz Truss arrives on his phone at just the wrong time. After a sharp rise in the cost of ingredients, one customer is furious as all the piri-piri dishes are dropped from his local Nando's.
Gone, 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 that's correct. Gone, 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 gone. Right?
And away from the pressures of government, for the first time in years, Kwasi Kwarteng can finally be himself again.
That picture suggests he could balance anything.
On Ian's team tonight is a journalist for The Spectator who recently appeared on the reality show Make Me Prime Minister. Well, I think over the coming weeks we might all get a turn. Please welcome Katy Balls. And on Paul's team tonight is a comedian who, when she started stand-up, delivered every line in a flat monotone, one at a time, with long pauses in between. In those days, that made her an alternative comic. Today, it would make her Prime Minister. Please welcome Jo Brand. Now, we begin with the bigger news stories of the week. Just one between you this week. Take a look at this.
This is the last Prime Minister but three.
He's always been a bell end.
This is the runners and riders for the next Prime Minister.
They're all disappearing.
This is documentary footage from the voting chamber in the Commons.
Boris Johnson's coming back. I suppose this is just the unbelievable news that Liz Truss was Prime Minister. And now she's gone. In fact, her whole career was one enormous U-turn. She walked into Downing Street and then she walked straight out again.
She didn't drag it out.
No, no, no. They dragged her out.
Yeah.
She did 45 days, and that doesn't include the mourning period of the Queen. So just think what she achieved in 35 days.
They seem to keep doing shorter times per go.
Yeah.
So...
It sounds from what you were saying that whoever wins next week and becomes Prime Minister, the victory speech will be something along the lines, I'm very pleased to have become Prime Minister of this country, and that's why I'm tendered my resignation.
Did you notice, though, that when she was, like, giving her resignation speech, she was sort of weirdly smiling quite a lot? I thought, oh, she's got Christmas strictly.
I was watching when she resigned, and the pound actually recovered during her resignation speech. And I thought, if internationally the markets prefer no Prime Minister to you, then it's the end of the game, isn't it?
We've had the result of quite a sophisticated political experiment. What do you think that was?
What, Brexit?
Is it trying out Ekin-Su from Love Island?
It was the Daily Star's experiment to see what lasted the longest.
Oh, yes, they bought a lettuce, didn't they?
Liz Truss or the Daily Star lettuce?
No, sorry, which is which? You're confusing me.
We might need to take letters a bit more seriously because I checked today and it's 500 to 1 currently to be the next Prime Minister.
Ian, is it time for Boris to make a miraculous return?
No, of course it isn't. You imagine the Tory party will have learnt its lesson.
Boris needs 100 MPs to back him.
You're not seriously going to propose him to come back. That seems to me almost mad enough for them to do it.
There's lots of MPs with quite rose-tinted glasses, I think, thinking, oh, you know what, I might have sent a letter to get rid of him, but he didn't hurt my mortgage.
Right.
So maybe it's worth another shot.
Yeah, so having someone who's a liar is better than someone who's a liability. I don't buy it.
Katy, I wonder, how can they justify another leadership election?
Yeah. Tory MPs looking at the polls, they're not about to vote for a general election. Lots of them like the idea of being opposition for a couple of years, but if you go to a general election, about 19% in the polls, most of them are not going to be in the opposition, they're going to be in the job centre.
Okay, well, here's how ITV's Tom Bradby summed up the shenanigans on Wednesday night.
Shenanigans.
The Deputy Chief Whip was reported to have left the scene saying, "I'm absolutely effing furious. I just don't effing care anymore," before he resigned, along with the Chief Whip. But we've just been told they have now officially unresigned. The Home Secretary has, however, definitely gone.
Now, those shenanigans were Wednesday night, Ian, right?
Yes.
And what were the shenanigans?
Well, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the Home Secretary resigning? Nutella, as she's known on the moderate wing of the party. No, that's very cheap. Her name's Cruella. I mean, for some reason she was Home Secretary, God knows why, and now she isn't anymore because she leaked a letter to a member of the public, so she broke the ministerial code. I thought if you breached the code, you had to be deported to Rwanda.
She used her private email, that's the suggestion.
Yes.
Yahoo, said Grant Shapps.
Who might end up being the shortest serving Home Secretary ever, because whoever wins will presumably bring in their own Home Secretary, so he might have been Home Secretary for less than a week.
And given he was her chief critic at the conference, and then she gave him the job.
Well, she sacked him, didn't she?
Yeah, as transport.
At the beginning of her premiership, but, you know, memory fades.
I think we've undersold the shenanigans, though. That was just the Home Secretary. I mean, what about the fracking bill?
Probably the most chaotic it's been. It's almost a cross between a rugby scrum, I think, in the voting lobby and handbags at dawn.
Well, Katy, you were right. I mean, there were chaotic scenes in the Commons on Wednesday night as MPs fought, they cried and they swore. Jacob Rees-Mogg was alleged to be at the heart of the melee, while according to The Times, one MP was manhandled by Therese Coffey. She'd just taken someone else's steroids and was feeling jacked.
Can you imagine the pleasure, though, of being sandwiched between Therese Coffey and Jacob Rees-Mogg? Nice sexual fantasy, that is.
The government had declared that any Tory MP who voted against the fracking bill would have the party whip removed. So who rebelled?
Last time round, they actually promised that they wouldn't do fracking, so it's not quite clear which mandate this is. Is this the Tory election mandate or Liz Truss's fantasy mandate that got the pensioners in Bournemouth so excited at cocoa time?
Yeah, if you voted with the government, you were going against a government manifesto commitment.
Right.
If that helps simplify things.
Totally clears it.
Well, some big names did abstain. Priti Patel, Kwasi Kwarteng. Here's the full list, actually, coming up. As you can see, it also includes Liz Truss.
Isn't that because those passes don't work?
That's what they said.
Yes, Liz Truss, she forgot to swipe her pass. Be careful how you say that. Well, it was a night of high emotions, no question about that. We've called it shenanigans. Who else got a bit blue that night?
Christian Murthy?
Yes. He got caught in an unguarded moment, for those who don't know, following a testy interview with Steve Baker.
Thanks a lot, Steve. It wasn't a stupid question, Steve. You know it. I'm very happy to go up against you on trust any day. What a
Why were we looking at a policeman as we were hearing that? It looked like the policeman was a particularly skilled ventriloquist.
What was the word that was bleeped out?
Yeah.
Conservative.
Yeah, that was it. It began with a C. Cabbage, was
Yes,
it? Something
yes.
like that, yeah.
Conservative, unionist, national treasure.
Oh, my word. What do you think the foreign media are making of all of this? Never mind Krishnan Murthy.
They're
having a
laughing, aren't they? Apparently, we used to have quite a good reputation in the world for stability. And so I understand that's now gone.
Well, we can find out what they think.
Let's find out.
British media suggested Prime Minister Liz Truss's cabinet can collapse shortly.
Her position is so clearly on an edge. It sparked this question. Can Liz Truss outlast the 10-day shelf life of a lettuce?
À toute heure du jour et de la nuit désormais, avec une question, est-ce que Liz Truss peut durer plus qu'une laitue?
Woraufhin dann der stellvertretende Fraktionschef das Parlament mit den Worten verließ, I'm fucking furious and I don't fucking care anymore.
Fracking.
I'm sure that's what she meant to say.
Yeah.
What eroded Liz Truss's foundations early on in the week?
The fact that she was completely useless.
When Jeremy Hunt junked almost entirety of her not-so-mini budget.
Indeed. Who else is rumoured to be in line for the role of Chancellor?
I thought they were sticking to Hunt.
Some people say he's a bit too old for the job, that he's an antique hunt.
Some people were saying Sajid Javid might be picked as Chancellor, but then Downing Street appeared to take quite a strong view on that rumour.
Quite a strong
Who
view.
is Downing Street?
At this point, no one.
According to a government source, when someone mentioned him as a possible replacement for Kwasi Kwarteng, the Prime Minister laughed out loud at the suggestion. The source added, she has sat in the cabinet with Javid for 10 years and she knows who is good and who is shit. And now so does everyone else. Here's the Saj being surprised at a Pelican Crossing near Parliament this week.
Do you think that Liz Truss looks safer now, or...
It's very nice to see you.
Jeremy Hunt looked very prime ministerial behind that desk this morning, didn't he?
Lovely to see you.
What we heard from Jeremy Hunt earlier on sounded very much like Rishi Sunak. They are, thankfully.
What have you done today? All right, see you later.
He was waiting to cross. So obeying the rules, he'll never be Prime Minister.
What else did Liz Truss probably regret this week?
Speaking like a robot. She sounds like a sort of malfunctioning robot midwife, doesn't she? Because she just goes, deliver, deliver. I think if she'd made normal expressions with her face instead of going... quite a lot, people would have actually been a bit warmer towards her. Her whole manner is just, like, so weird.
Now, if she was a robot, she'd possess artificial intelligence.
The other thing she probably regrets this week is sending her political rival, Penny Mordaunt, to Parliament in her place to answer an urgent question from Labour.
Mr. Speaker, with apologies to the Leader of the Opposition and the House, the PM is detained on urgent business. And the Prime Minister is not under a desk.
As soon as you raise that image, we know she was.
Well, who else was disrespected by a colleague in Downing Street this week? I'll tell you.
Yes.
Sky News' Tamara Cohen was trying to have a two-way conversation with Kay Burley. Have a look.
A couple of days ahead in which her authority is going to be very much tested. She's got what's going to be another tricky performance in Parliament tomorrow with Keir Starmer. And then as we head later in the week, there's going to be questions about what cuts to departmental budgets are going to be put forward. A lot of people just leaving Downing Street now. It's just the Chancellor, actually.
Yeah. Talk to the hand. Talk to the hand.
That's just so rude.
How was Liz Truss's fate ultimately decided by a curry?
The Tory MPs plotting against her met in an Indian restaurant?
Is it a Commons office? Because there's an MP who backed Rishi Sunak who has been having lots of takeaways on hospitality in his office. And I had a Tory MP say to me, it'd basically become a bistro. And that was where there was a big curry to talk about the future.
Yeah. The anti-trust MPs apparently discussed a plot to oust her this week over a curry, leading the Sun to label them the Balti Bandits and refer to it as the Poppadom Plot, which would explain this headline: Man finds Boris Johnson in his chicken korma. Here it is. This is the news, of course, that Liz Truss is a quitter, not a fighter. The person who deserves the most sympathy is, of course, Liz Truss's husband, Hugh, who at some point during dinner last night must have bravely said, OK, Liz, but could we talk about my day? After the fracking vote, there were reports that one Tory MP was roughed up outside the division lobbies. I imagine he ended up with his eyes to the right and his nose to the left. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to round two, the one-armed bandit of news. Fingers on the buzzers, teams. Here's the first one.
Is it about the protesters on Dartford Bridge this week?
Yes, he was blocked by a pair of Just Stop Oil protesters who scaled the suspension bridge. Here they are. Now, some commuters tried to encourage them to come down by firing fireworks at them. And despite that, they remained up there for 37 hours. And coming down asked, who's won, Liz or the lettuce? What did the protesters do in an art gallery as well?
Oh, they threw some tomato soup at Van Gogh's sunflowers.
Apparently, they regretted it in hindsight.
Yes, Joe, as part of a protest at the government's approach to fossil fuel policy. Here's the moment it happened. Shocking, absolutely shocking. Have you seen how much soup costs these days? Afterwards, they glued themselves to the gallery wall before being removed by specialists who came armed with anti-adhesive and some croutons. What other protest was in the news this week?
Oh, well, there was a Hong Kong dissident who was protesting outside the Chinese consulate in Manchester and quite rightly was taken inside and beaten up. I mean, really, you can't have people protesting about dictatorial regimes in Britain. I don't know what they were thinking of. I think we should get the Red Army in to basically patrol the streets. And anyone who doesn't agree with the government should literally be killed.
Do you want to be Home Secretary?
I do.
One of the men involved is one of China's most senior UK diplomats. He's Consul General Zheng Xiwan, who told Sky News that it was his duty to rip hair from the scalp of the protester. Now, here's one of his victims. Finally, would you like to see an energy-saving tip that went viral this week?
Yeah.
Not really.
No.
You're going to get it anyway. This is from TikTok. Here it is.
To save money, instead of boiling the kettle to make a cup of tea, after I do the ironing, I like to use the water from the iron to fill the cup up. And then I pop it in the microwave for 15 seconds. It's also a great way to recycle the water from the iron.
Are you telling me some bloke's doing the ironing? I don't believe it.
This is the ongoing series of protests by Just Stop Oil campaigners. The two young activists threw soup over a famous painting. Many people have likened it to vandalism, not a Dutch painter I'm familiar with. Now, fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the next one.
Oh, this is dogs can sense our mood. They can smell incompetence. They must have been barking their heads off for the last 24 hours. But they smell incompetence. They can tell if somebody, so, you know, if they walk into operating theatre and somebody's performing open heart surgery, they can tell immediately whether the surgeon knows what he's doing or she knows what he's doing or doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the news that man's best friend may be more judgmental than we might have realised. So what do dogs know about us then?
We'll never know because they can't tell us, can they?
A new study this week apparently has revealed that dogs were first introduced to a competent person opening the lid of a box.
Dog, competent person opening the lid of a box, and the person opening the box, dog.
But then the competent person was followed by an incompetent person failing to open the lid. Well, the dog reliably chose to trust the competent person to feed them over the incompetent one.
Honestly, this sounds like complete bollocks.
There's compelling evidence.
Compelling evidence.
To suggest that cats can make a similar judgment about people.
Can they?
Well, hang on.
Oh, he's got compelling evidence.
Thank you. Take a look at that.
Have a look at compelling evidence.
Not all dogs are equally able to sniff out incompetence, though. Which dogs do you think are actually better?
Border Collies, Alsatians, Labradors.
Female dogs strongly prefer competent people, compared to male dogs who, even when they detected someone was incompetent, didn't really care. Which breed has recently seen a huge boom in popularity?
The King Charles III Spaniel.
No.
Wolves.
Are you doing an impression of one now?
No, it's the lovely Corgi. Yes, the Kennel Club announced that since the Queen's death, registrations have reached a 30-year high.
They're quite bad-tempered, aren't they, Corgis? Apparently the Queen's Corgis used to quite regularly have a little snap at people.
But they've been taken over by Prince Andrew.
Let's hope they do it a lot, then.
That's one of the roles he's been allowed to keep. Keeper of the dog.
I hope someone's checking on them.
Yeah, we don't want a grooming scandal, do we?
What breed has not had the same luck as the Corgi?
Dalmatian.
No. Sadly, the King Charles Spaniel. The situation was so bad, its picture was featured on the front of the Times. There it is. Well, either that or the Conservative Party are planning to go rogue with their next leader. The number of King Charles Spaniels is declining. This is despite their popularity this week at the Discover Dog Show, where, according to the Times, visitors were enchanted as one King Charles Spaniel looked out over the side of his pen, probably thinking, this stinking pen. OK, time for the odd one out round. Your four are Jeremy Clarkson, Nigel Farage, King Charles III, and Elon Musk.
Jeremy Clarkson, he's had to close down his branded tea room. King Charles has had to get rid of the Duchy of Cornwall stuff, I suppose, so his biscuits have gone out the window. Nigel Farage, something about him producing his own gin or something like that, Farage's gin. And Elon Musk, I'm not sure, I mean, it might be leather jackets, it might be cars, it might be space modules.
Did he launch a perfume? He did. It was called...
Musk.
OK, well, it's to do with spin-offs. They're all trying to make some money on the side, apart from Jeremy Clarkson, who can no longer make money from his cafe and restaurant.
Right.
Because the eateries were opened without planning permission.
That's right.
Clarkson has been ordered to remove all tables and furniture, including children's high chairs. So where am I supposed to sit now? Asked the visiting Richard Hammond. Nigel Farage has put his name to red, white and blue Cornish gins. Here's the gin, with the very opposite of a tonic. I'm just wondering what the tasting notes for Nigel Farage's gin are.
Bitter.
Well, I suppose, I mean, you know, what is he going to promote? Toss pot tonic?
What's King Charles's new alternative income stream?
Oh, it's plastic bags full of cash. Oh, no.
He is selling off the Queen's racehorses. Can you name any that are being sold?
Dobbin.
OK, there's Pile Driver, which the Queen named after her favourite Status Quo album.
Or Prince Philip, maybe.
Elon Musk launched a $100 a bottle perfume called Burnt Hair.
Pubic or hair on your head? I'm sorry, my job is to come and lower the tone on this. I think I'm doing really well.
Elon Musk released his burnt hair fragrance via his online shop, boringcompany.com. Not to be confused with boringcompany.co.uk, which is, of course, Keir Starmer's website. In other news, what product has Dolly Parton released to make some extra money on the side?
She's written a novel. That's not it, though, is it?
No. The country singer has launched a pet clothing line, which includes a blonde wig for dogs. Let's have a look.
Oh, I don't know what breed of dog that is, but it's in trouble.
And here it is on a live model. Time now for the missing words round. We're going to start with man sets world record for what in 30 minutes?
Doing the ironing.
Man sets world record for eating 21 sausage rolls in 30 minutes. John Dawes ate a sausage roll every 100 seconds. It was a huge achievement, but it really annoyed the other mourners at the wake.
It would do, it would do.
Next, people in Iceland stunned after what?
They fell into the fridges.
They went to Waitrose.
People in Iceland stunned after country starts using different font on street signs. Oh, yes, here are the two different signs with their different fonts.
I'd be stunned by that.
Yeah. Iceland, of course, is known for its hot geezers.
There's one.
World's fattest parrot is what?
Greedy bastard. World's fattest parrot is...
Tasty.
Is urged to go on diet.
Yes.
Don't want to do it. Don't want to do it.
World's fattest parrot is banned from Bird of the Year contest.
Oh, I was banned from that as well.
Were you? That's a shame.
So the final scores are... Ian and Katy have 5. Paul and Joe have 8.
Oh.
Well done. On which note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Katy Balls, Paul Merton and Joe Brand. And I leave you with news that in London, it's clear just how desperate Downing Street were after evidence emerges of Number 10 attempting to bring back George Osborne. After another round of intense Premier League action, Jurgen Klopp denies that he's becoming overstressed. And in Westminster, following Liz Truss's resignation, the Tory party opens up applications for a new PM. Good night.
Presenting a history of civilization as only she knows how. Press red to watch Cunk on Earth now on BBC iPlayer. Jen's still missing, but hopefully the Copri hedgehog hunt will be enough to bring her back. Am I being unreasonable? In just a moment.